Assalamu alaikum. You are on Al Mubarak Radio and you're on the Improved Tuition Show. Today, due to parent requests, I'm going to be doing some math skills. And what I'm going to be working on is mental maths. And this should help your children at home. So you'll be able to watch and rewind and watch and rewind a range of maths examples. Now, what I'm going to focus on is I'm going to focus on addition and subtraction. And it's pitched for 10 to 11 years old. However, I would say that these skills are useful for GCSE pupils for all years from year 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and even 11. Because if you have these basic skills, they will help you immensely in maths. So I've got a magical method for adding multiples of 10s. So we're going to learn about adding multiples of 10s. Okay, so we're going to be working on adding multiples of 10. So once you know your doubles, it's quite easy to add multiples of 10s. For example, if you know 9, add 9 is 18, then you can work out 90, add 90 equals 180. So what we've used is we've used our knowledge about 9, doubling 9s, and we've doubled it to give us 18 and added a 0 there. Okay, I'm just going to get some help. This is the first time we're doing such an illustration. The writing isn't coming out immensely well, so I'm going to see if we can make some improvements to this. Can it be a bit better? Could you maybe take one more laptop?
See, it's increased. When you're looking up from here, you can't see.
For the years, you know what's happening. I think the camera should be upside down because the lighting looks. I have to do it from there.
Looking right when you see it.
When you look at it there.
I was just checking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just check.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. Sorry about that. It's the first time we're doing it. So let's start again. So what we're doing is we're adding multiples of 10. If we know our doubling facts, if we know that we know how to double 9 add 9 is 18, what we can do is we can double 9 and write 18 and add a 0. Okay, so what would we do in a situation where we've got 900 add 900? If we've got 900 add 900, we can double 9 add 9 to give us 18 and add 2 zeros. So if we've got 9 add 9, we can double 9 to give us 18 and add 2 zeros. And we can continue this, we can continue this, we can continue this. So what we can do is we can do 9. If you've got 9,000, add 9,000. We've got 9 add 9, which is 18. We can add 3 zeros. So we can add 3 zeros, and we already know our doubling facts for 9. We know our doubling facts for 9. We wrote 18 and we added 1, 2, 3 zeros here. We added 1, 2, 3 zeros. Now, what we've been working on is we've been working on adding multiples of 10. So we've been working on adding multiples of 10. And we've used our doubling facts, our doubling knowledge, to look at the pattern in these terms. So we've used our doubling knowledge and looked at the patterns in these terms, and we've basically worked out a range of questions starting from doubling 9. Okay, so let's do some examples. If we've got some examples, if we've got 6 add 6, we know that is 12. Now that's pretty simple. However, if we've got 60 add 60, what we can do is we can double 6 and 6, we can double 6 and 6, we can double 6 and 6 to give us 12, and then we can add a 0. We can add a 0. So you've got double 6, which is 12, and we've added a 0. If we've got 600, what we can do is we can double 6 again and add 2 zeros to give us 1,200. To give us 1,200. Now, if we've got 11, add 11. We've got 11 add 11. What we can do is we can double this to 22. We can double this to 22. So if we've got 110, add 110, what would that be? What would 110? Okay, what we're going to do is we're just, this is the first time we're doing an illustration. We're just getting things, we're just lowering the tripod so we can improve the visibility of the page, because I'm just looking at the screen and it's not coming, the writing isn't very clear, so it's best if we adjust the tripod. nice.
You're moving on the right. Sorry.
So what we're doing now is we're going to go back to the question I was working on. If we've got 11, add 11, what you do is you double that to 22. So if you've got 110, add 110, that would be 22, and you would add a 0. Okay, so if you've got 1100, add 1100, you would make that into 2200. So what you're doing is each time you're just adding a 0 here and you're adding 2 zeros here. So we're using our doubling knowledge to do double 11, which is 22, double 11, which is 22, and then we add 2 zeros. Okay, now if we've got, say for example, 14, add 14. Well, 14 add 14 would be 28. We're using our doubling factor. So 14 add 14 is 28. Now, if we've got 140, add 140. What we're doing is we're adding doubling 14. We are doubling 14 to give us 28, and we add a 0. We add a 0. So we're adding a 0 because. And this is, we're able to do a range of multiples of 10 using this method. So say for example you have 24. If you've got 24, add 24. All we do is double 20, which is 40, and double 4, which is 8, to give us 48. Double 20, which is 40, and 4 add 4, which is 48. Now, if you've got 240, add 240, then what you do is you double 24, to give you 48, and we work that out here, and you add a 0. So you add a 0. So what we've done here is we've used our doubling knowledge, and we've got 48, and we just add a 0. So if you've got a number like 2,400, add 2,400. So if you've got a number like 2,400, add 2,400. What you would do is you would double 24, which is 48, and add 2 zeros. So you would add 2 zeros. So what we're doing is we've established a pattern whereby we're just adding the zeros in. Okay, sorry. We're adding a 0 in here. Okay, so if you've got a sum like 32, add 32, then you just double it to 64. But if you were given, say for example 3,200 as a sum, add 3,200. Well, we know that 30 add 30 is 60, and we know 2 add 2 is 4. So we know that doubling 32 will give us 64, and then you add 2 zeros. So what we're doing is we've got 32 add 32, which is 64. We've got 32 add 32, which is 64. So what we've worked on is we've been doing doubles or multiples of 10. We've been adding multiples of 10. Now, the next thing I'd like to explain is I'd like to add 2 numbers. So I would like to show you how to add 2 numbers. When you're adding 2 numbers in your head, so if you're adding 2 numbers in your head, there are a lot of ways, there are many ways, there are different ways to try it. So we can how would you work out 147, 147 add 132? So how would you work out 147 add 142? So what you can do is you can do 147 add 3 to give you 150. So 150 add 132 would give you 282. So 150 add 132 would give you 282. So then what you do is we've added 3 in excess. So we've added 3 in excess. So what we can do is we should take away 3 from 282 to give us 279. Okay, so what did we do here? We added 147, add 132. So what we did is we brought it to the nearest 10. And we got this, we did the number bonds of 10. So we had 7 and we added 3 to make this sum easier. So we brought it to 150. We added this 3 in order for us to be able to add 132 much easier. So if we did 150 add 132, we know that 100 add 150 add 100 is 100, 250. Add 32 is 282. So 150 add 100 is 250. Add 32 is 282. Now remember what we did here. What did we do here? What we did here was we added 3. So we need to subtract 3 here because we did this in order for us to enable us to add these two numbers much easily. So what we did is we took away 3 and we got the answer 279. Okay, now let's do another sum. Another way, and this is my preferred way, is if you had 147 and 132, what you can do is you can partition these numbers into 140 and 7 and 130 and 2. So what you can do is you can partition these numbers 147 into 140 and 7 and 130 and 2. So what you then do is you add these numbers up. When you add these two numbers up, you get 270 from this. So 14 add 13 is 27, add a 0 is 270. And then what you do is you do 7 add 2, which is 9. That's 279. So what we've done here is we've got 147 add 132. We've partitioned 147, we partitioned 147 into 140 and 7, and then we've then split 132 into 130 and 2. What did we do then? We added the hundreds up, 140 add 130 to give us 270. So we added these two numbers up to give us 270. What did we do with the units? Well, with the units, we added 7 add 2 to give us 9. 270 add 9 is 279. Let's do some more examples. So if we've got 580 add 273, how can we do this? Well, what we can do is we can do what we did earlier. We can add the hundreds up first, which 500 add 200 is 5 add 2 is 7 and add 2 zeros. Okay, so what we've done here is we've got 580 add 273. So we're adding the hundreds up. So we've got 500 add 200 to give us 700. Okay, so what do we do next? What we do next is we add the tens up. So we could add 80 add 70. Okay, so what I'm doing next is I'm adding the 80 and the 70 to give me, well, double 7 is 14, double 7 is 14, one more is 15. So, and add a 0. So what am I doing here? I'm doubling 7 to 14 and adding one more to give me 15, and then I'm adding a 0. Okay, so far we've added the hundreds, we've added the tens. Okay, so we've added the hundreds and we've added the tens. What have we got left? What else do we have to add? We've got to add the units up. So we've got 3 units here. So we've got 3 units here. And we need to add the 3 up. So we've got 700, add 150, which is 850. And then we add the 3 up to give us 853. Okay, so what we're doing is we're doing some more examples. We've got 273, add 37. 273, add 37. So what we're going to do is we've got 200. Okay, so we've got that from here, and we've got the 70 and the 30, which gives us 100. Okay, so we've got the 70 from here and the 30 from here. So we've got the 70 from here and we've got the 30 from here. Okay, so far we've got 200 and 100. So what we did here is we've got 273 at 37. We've got 273 at 37. What did we do? We partitioned 270 and we've got 3 left. What else did we do? We partitioned 30 and 7. We partitioned 30 and 7, and that gave us so 70 at 30 gives us 100. 70 at 30 gives us 100. 3 at 7 gives us 10. Okay, so what did we do? We had 200 from here. We've got 70 from here, and we've got 3 from here. So we've got 30 from here. We've got 7 from here. So adding the tens up, adding the tens up, adding the tens up, we get 100. Adding the units up, we get 10. So if we've got 200, add 100, add 10, well, what's that? Well, 200 add 100 is 300, and add 10 is 310. I'm going to go through this process again. Where did I get the 200 from? I got the 200 from 273. Okay, where did I get the 100 from? Well, adding 70 and 30 up, I got 100. And where did I get the 10 from? Well, adding 3 and 7 up, I got 10. So when I added 200, add 100, add 10, I got 310. Let's do a few more examples. I hope this is going to help your children. You'll be able to rewind this as well. That's the benefit of this. Okay, what do we do here? Can you remember? Right, step 1 is let's partition 450 and 6. Then let's partition 290 and 7. What do we do next? Okay, so step 2 is let's add the hundreds up. So if we've got 400 at 200, that's 600. If we've got 50 at 50 at 90, so 50 from here, 90 from here, we've got 50 at 90, 50 at 90 is 140, and 6 at 7, well, we know that double 6 is 12, and one more is 13. We know double 6 is 12, and one more is 13. So 600, 700, 740, add 13 is 753. Okay, so what did we do here? We had 3 here. We had 4 add 1, which is 5, and we had 6 add 1, which is 753. So what did we do here? But step 1 was to partition. Step 2 was to add up hundreds, tens, and units. Okay, once we added up the hundreds, tens, and units, we add the subtotals of 600, 140, and 13 to give us 753. So one more last example. Let's do, for example, 238 add 238 add 615. Let's do 238 add 615. Okay, so step one is partition. Step one is partition. So we've got 238, and we've got 610 and 5. So 238 is partitioned into 230 and 8, and 615 is partitioned as 610 and 5. Okay, so when we add step two, what do we do now? We add the hundreds up, we add the tens up, we add the units up. So when we add the hundreds up, what do we get? We get 200 at 600, which is 2 add 6 is 8, add 2 zeros. And then what we do is we've done that. Now we've got to add 30, add 10. So if we add 30, add 10, what do we get? Well, 3 add 1 is 4, add a 0 is 40. What about if it's 8, add 5? Well, we know 8 add 2 is 10, add 3 is 13. Now, what did I do here? Well, with the 5, I had the 2 and the 3, and I used my number bonds knowledge of 10, number bonds of 10, and I went 8 add 2 is 10, and add 3 is 13. So, if you don't get this confused, because all I've done here is I knew that I had 8, I added another 2, 10, and added 13. That improves my mental maths. I can do the sums much quicker if I use my number bonds in this way. Now, the third example I'd like to work on is adding several numbers up. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn to add several numbers. So we're going to learn to add several numbers. How do we add several numbers? If we've got, for example, let's say 13 and 26 and 7 and 9, if we need to add these numbers up, how could we do it? How could we add these numbers up? Well, there's a lot of ways that we could use, and there are a number of ways. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the sum slightly easier first. So I'm just going to deal with 3 numbers so you get an idea of how to deal with several numbers. So I'm going to just start with 3 numbers. I'm just going to work with 3 numbers, and I'm going to select. So the question is, can you add the total for these 3 numbers? Can you add the total for these numbers? So if you needed to add the total for these 3 numbers, what would you do? Okay, what I would do is if I had 30, and then I would add 20, which would give me 50, and then I would add the 3 here, which would give me 53. So I've dealt with these 2 numbers. Now, I've got the 53 from adding 30 at 20, which is 50, and I've added another 3, which is 53. So 30 at 20 add 3 is 53. What do I do next? Well, what I do next is I add the 12 up. So if I had to add the 12 up, this is how I do it. I have 50 at 10, which is 60. I'm just going to make a note there on the side. Okay, so I've got 60 there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 3 and 2 up, which is 5, which gives me 65. So what have I done here? I've added the 30 and 20, 30 and 20, which gives me 53. Then I've added the 3 up to give me 53. And then I've made a note of that 53 here. And then what I've done is I've added the 12. And how I've done that is first I've added the 50 and the 10 to give me 60. 50 and 10, which gives me 60. And then I've added 3 at 2, which is 5, to give me 65. So what we're doing here is we're adding several numbers up. We're adding several numbers up. At the moment, we're starting with 3 numbers because it's easier. Okay, so how would I do, for example, 25 add 18 add 12? How would I add up 25 add 18 and 12? Well, if we've got 25, what we can do is we can do 20 add 30 add 40, and I'll make a note of that. So I've added this, and this, and then what I can do is I can add the 8 and 2 to give me 10, and then I can add the 5 up. So what I've done here is I had these numbers, okay? I had 25, 18, and 12. What I've done is another way to do it is you could add 10 at 10, which is 20, 8 at 2, which is 10, and that would give me 30. So 10, 20, 28, 30. Okay, what can you do now? So if you've got 25 now from there, where did the 25 come from? It came from there. Where did the 30 come from? It came from adding 18 and 12, 18 and 12, 18 and 12. How did I add 18 and 12? Well, I added 10 at 10, which is 20, and 8 at 2, which is 30. What do I do now? Okay, I've got 25 here. 30 add 20, so I start with the biggest number, the biggest 10, and I go 30 at 20, which is 50. I'm just going to make a note there, and then 5, which gives me 55. Okay, so what did I do the second time? Well, here, all I've done is I've got 3 numbers. I added these 2 up first, 10 and 20, 28 and 30, to give me 50, to give me 30. So I did 10 at 10, which is 20, 8 at 2, which is 30. Then what I did was I had 25. I added 25 at 30 to give me 55. Now, notice what I did. What I did was I dealt with the easiest numbers that I could deal with. And I knew that this 8 and 2, this 8 and 2, this 8 and 2 are number bonds of 10. So, and I knew that 10 at 10 is 20. So I could easily work out 30. Now, it wouldn't have worked as easily if I would have added, for example, this and this up, because it's much easier to do 18 at 12 rather than 25 at 18. Why? Why is that the case? Well, the case is that 8 and 2 make a nice 30. 18 at 12 make a nice 30. And just by looking at them numbers, I could see that. Whereas with 25, if I would have tried 25 at 18 or 25 at 12, it would have worked, but it may not have worked as well. So what can I do now? Can you work this one out? Do you think you're able to work 42 at 14 at 6 and 7? So if what I'm looking at the numbers, I'm studying the numbers. I've got 42 there, I've got 14 there, I've got 7 there, and 6 there. And I'm thinking, well, hold on, these 2 numbers make 20 because they work with the number bonds of 20. So let's add 6, add 14, which gives me 20. So 6 add 14 make 20. Now, my decision was that I looked at those 2 numbers, and I looked at 6 and looked at 4, and I thought, well, they're number bonds, aren't they? So they make 10, and another 10 make 20. So 14 add 6 make 20. Now, we're part of the way. Next step is this 20. What we do is we have 42 add 20. We have 42 add 20. So if you've got 42 add 20, what we do is you add 40 add 20. You add 40 add 20, which gives you 60. And then you add 2 more to give you 62. You add 2 more. Now, I'm going to go back. What we did first was we added the 14 add 6, 14 add 6 to give me 20. And then what I did was I added the 42 and 20 to give me 62. Now, we've dealt with that number. Now, the 62 add the smallest number, give me 69. Where did I get the 7 from? I got it from here. Okay, so that's 69. So I'm going to just show that example again so you can understand it. If you've got 42 add 14, add 6, add 7, what you can do is you can do 14 add 6, which is 20, and you can even add 7 up to give you 27. So then you've left with 42, add 27. Well, you can do 40 add 20, which is 60, and 7 add 2, which is 69. So you could, what we've done here is we've dealt with that number and that number first, and then we've dealt with this number, and then we've dealt with, we've got a sum of 27, then we've done 42, which is from here, we've done 42, which is from here, we've done 42, which is from here, and added 27 to give us 69. Okay, so if we had, for example, 25, add 16, add 54, add 25, how would we add these numbers up? So now, first, I'm studying the numbers. I know there's 50 here, and there's 54 here, and I know there's 16 here. Now, what grabs my attention is the 4 and the 6. Why? Why does it grab my attention? Because I know the 4 and 6 make 10, and it makes a nice round number, a nice 10. Okay, my attention goes here and here as well. What grabs my attention? Well, I know 5 add 5 is 10. Okay, so I know that I could work with these two numbers, and then I know that I could work with these two numbers as well. So let's do 54. Step 1. Add 54, add 16. Well, 50 add 10 is 60, and 4 add 10 is 70. So we've got 50 add 10, which is 60, and 6 add 4, which gives us 10 to give 70. Okay, so we're going to hold on to this figure. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do double 25, which gives us, when we double 25, what does it give us? It gives us 50. Double 25 gives us 50. So we've got these two numbers make 50, and these two numbers make 70. So what's 70 add 50? Give you a moment. Well, 7 add 3 is 10, and add 2 more is 12. See how I use my number boards? We've got 7, add 3. I know it reads 5, but I've partitioned it into 3 and 2. Why? Because it helps me do the sum quicker. So 7 add 3, which is 10, and add 2 more is 12. Okay, so I've got 120 here, so add the 0. So I've done 70 add 50, which is 120. So where did I get the 70 from? Well, adding these two numbers. Where did I get the 50 from? From adding these two numbers. The total of 70 and 50 gives me 120. So when we add all these numbers up, we get 120. And how we did it is we first spotted that these numbers are easier to add up together, and then we noticed that these two numbers will be easier to add up. So I managed my numbers. I didn't jump right into it. I studied with numbers. I thought, okay, what is common between these numbers? And what I noticed was common about these numbers was the 4 and the 6 and the 5 and the 5. And that helped me. Now, let's try adding several numbers up. If you've got 16, 21, 15, and 8, how would you add 16, add 21, add 15, and 8? Well, firstly, I'm studying the numbers. I'm thinking, okay, is there anything common between these numbers, or anything that would help me, say, maybe make number bonds of 10? Well, I can't see no patterns yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the biggest number. So I'm going to start with the biggest number. Okay, and I'm just going to make a note here. What I've noticed now is when I've looked at 16 and 15, well, what I could do with 16 and 15 is I could treat it like a double. And add one more. So what I've done here is I've got 16 add 15, or double 15, which is 30, and one more is 31. So what I've done here is I've taken a number from here and here. Okay, therefore, okay, what I can do is I can simply double 15 to get 30, and one more is 31. So when I've got, so far I've got this number 21, and I've got 31. Where did I get the 31 from? From adding 15 and 16. What's remaining? Well, I've got to add 8 up as well. So what do I do now? Okay, what I do is I add the 30. Remember, look how I start with the biggest number. It'd be silly to start with 8. I wouldn't want to start with 8. I would be better starting with 31. It is easier, much easier to start with the biggest number in this situation. So if we've got 30 and 20, 30 and 20, 30 and 20, that's 50. So 50 add 1 is 52. Ooh, look, what I've noticed is as soon as I've done 30 at 20, I've got 50, and 1 and 1 is 52. What do I notice? Oh, I can use my number bonds. I can use my number bonds. What do I mean by number bonds? Where if I say 2, what's the number that makes 10? Number bonds of 10 is 2 and 8. So if 2 and 8 make 10, 2 and 8 make 10, 2 and 8 make 10. So 50 at 10 is 60. So we've got 52, add another 8, which gives us 60. So what did I do first? What I did first was I had the number 21. I made a note of it here. Then I recognized a pattern where I could just simply double these numbers up. And then what I did was I double these numbers up and then added 1 more, because this is not 15, this is 16. So I did double 15, add double 15, which is 30, and 1 more is 31. Okay, what do I do now? So I've got the 21 from here. I've got the 31 from adding these 2 numbers up. So I can cross them 2 out and then 3 out. And I've got 8 left. When I add 52, add 8, 52, add 8, 52, add 8, I get 60. The total of all these numbers are 60. So that's how you do several numbers. Now, many parents will have learned adding large numbers up, and in this way. So if we've got, say, for example, 3,624 and 1,258, a lot of parents will have learned that what they do is they add these 2 numbers up. These are the units, these are the tens, these are the hundreds, these are the thousands. Remember, that's 3,000, that's 600, that's 20, and that's 4. The meaning of this is that's 1,000, that's 200, that's 50, and that's 8. Okay, what are we going to do now? We need to add these 2 numbers up. Do I start from 4? Well, I look at 8, and I go number bond of 8 add 2 is 10, 8 add 2 is 10, 8 add 2 is 10, which gives, and another 2 is 12. So I've got 12 there. I put the 10 over here. So what do I do here now? I add 5 add 2, which is 7. 5 add 2, which is 7. And add 1 more is 8. I then do 6 add 2, which is 8. And I do 3 add 1, which is 4. So how did I do this sum? I did 8 add 2, which is 10, and 2 more is 12. And you take the word forward and you put it underneath the 10 columns. Then what do? You do 5 add 2, which is 7, and 1 more, which is 8. Now notice how I started with this number and then I added 2 more. It's much easier to start with a bigger number, then move and add 2 on. And here, what do? I add 6 add 2, which is 8, and then I add 3 add 1, which is 4. So 4,882 is the answer. Okay, so how would we work out, say, for example, 2,074? How would we work out 2,074? Well, if we've got 693, then this is how we do it. We have 4 add 3, 4 add 3, 4 add 3, which is 7. Another way to do it is if you've got double 3 is 6, 1 more is 7. Can you see how I'm using? If you've got your doubling right, and if you've got your number bonds right, they can help you in later years. Year 2 is a very, very important year. When you're between the ages of 6 and 7, and you learn these ways, like doubling 3 is 6 and 1 more is 7, that's helping you here. If you've got 9 and you learn in year 2, or when you're 6 to 7, you add 9 add 1 is 10 and 6 more is 16. Okay, so if I've got 16, do I put the 10 here? No. Where do I put it? I put it underneath here, the 100, sorry. So I've got 9 add 1 is 10 and 6 more is 16. So that's goes underneath the 100 column. So 600 add 100, which is 700. What about the 2? Is there anything to add up here? No, there isn't. So we just insert the 2. We insert the 2 to give us the sum 2,767. Okay, I'm going to quickly recap this. What did I do here? I had double 3, which is 6, and one more, which is 7. What did I do here? I used my number bonds. I used my doubling here, and I used my number bonds here. I did 9 add 1, which is 10, 9 add 1, which is 10, 9 add 1, which is 10, and 6 more, which is 16. What do I do here? Okay, I carry it forward. When I carry this forward, I do 6 add 1, which is 7, 6 add 1, which is 7. Then you've got the 2 there. 2,767 is the sum. A lot of parents will have learned this. Now, what's the point of knowing a lot of ways? Well, depending on the number you use, we've been working on depending on the numbers you see. Like here, you've got 2-digit numbers, but you've got several numbers. So we use a method. Here, we've got 4-digit numbers and 3-digit numbers, and so we use this method. So we're learning a bank of strategies. We're learning a bank of ways, many ways to do sums depending on the numbers. So if we've got 238 at 615, what we did is we added the 200 and the 600, the 30 and the 10 and the 8 and the 5 to give us the sum. And that's how we learned it. Now, this is the first time we're doing an online tutorial. So if there are any mistakes, forgive us. We're trying our best. We will improve it. I'm sure we'll be digital one day. So let's try using another pen, see if it comes out better. If we've got 4,627, what do? And then if we've got 4,837, how do we add these numbers up? Well, 7 is 14. 7 is 14. Carry the 10 over. We know 3 add 2 is 5. 1 more is 6. 3 add 2 is 5. 1 more is 6. Remember where the 1 came from. And we passed the 10 here. So 7 was 14. We put the 1 there. 3 add 2 is 6. And 1 more. 3 add 2 is 5. And 1 more is 6. What do we do here? Well, we could double 6 to get 12. And 2 more, which is 14. Or you could do 8 add 2, which is 10, and 4 more is 14. So 8 add 2 is 10. Now what I've done here is I've split that into 2 and 4. So I've got 8 add 2, which is 10, and 4 more is 14. If we've got 4 add 4, which is 8, and 1 more is 9. So the answer is 9,464. And the method that we've been using is we've been adding large numbers. And like I said, a lot of parents will know this method. They should be comfortable with this method because they will have learned this at school. Okay, now we're going to deal with money. When adding large amounts of money, there are certain ways that we can use, okay? There are certain ways we can use. So for example, what is 1266 add 1462? What is 1266 add 1462? So £12.66 add £14.66. Well, what we can do is we can add the £12 and the £14. If we add the £12 and the £14, which are the big numbers are the £12 and the £14, we get £26. So we get £26. Okay, so what do we do next? We've got the tens. So we've got 66p add 62p. So we've got 66p add 62p. So what do we do here? If we double 60, we get 120. So I'm just going to jot that down here. And if we've got 6 add 2, which gives us 8, so we've got 120. 8 or £1.28. Okay, so 66 plus 62 is 128. Now, notice that I've kept it in pounds because it's much easier when we come at the end when we're totaling the numbers up. So if we've got £26 and we've got £1.28, I'm going to add 2 zeros. This is going to be pretty easy. 0 add 8, 0 add 2, 0 add 8, 0 add 2. 6 add 1 is 7, 6 add 1 is 7, 6 add 1 is 7. Add 2 more. So that's £27.28. £27.28. Like I said, what we're doing is we're learning about money. We're learning about larger amounts of money and being able to work these out in your head or your when you're so what you're doing is we're counting the pounds first, and then we're counting the pence. So what we did was we initially counted the pounds and then we counted the pence. So if we've got £7.80, £7.12, if we've got £7.12 and we've got £4.85, what do we do here? Can you remember what the focus was? The focus was on adding the pounds up first. If we add 7, add 4, that gives us, well, 7 add 3 gives us 10, and 1 more gives us 11. Can you see how important year 2 work is? Year 2 work is so important, and a lot of children struggle because they don't understand, they don't know, they can't quickly work this out. 7 add 3 is 10, add 1 more is 11. We're using our number bonds here. So I don't count 4 immediately, I count 3 and then 1 more to give me £11. So we've dealt with the £7 and we've dealt with the £4. Okay, so what do we do now? So step 1 was add the pounds. Step 1 was add the pounds. Step 2 would be to add the pence. Step 2 would be to add the pence. How would we add the pence? Well, what we would do is we would have 12p add 85p. Now, what I'm doing here is my earlier knowledge about the tens is coming in. 80 add 10 is 90. So I'm just going to write a note here. And 5 add 2, which is 7. So what am I doing here? I'm adding the tens up first. 80 add 10 is 90, and 5 add 2, which is 7, which gives me 97p. Okay, so what can we do? We can add £11 add 97p to give us £11.97. So what we've been working out is we've been adding £7.12 and £4.85. The key point is to be able to add the £7 and the £4, to add the £7 and the £4, to add the £7 and the £4. Once you add the £7 and the £4, you get £11. You made a note of that. Okay, now then what do? We add the 85 and the 12, the 12p and the 85p. The 12p is from here, 85p is from here. What do we do then is we add it up to give us 97p. Once we add it up to give us 97p, we add £11 to 97p to give us £11.97. With money, always start with the big numbers, and as you go along, then add the pence up and then add the both numbers up. Okay, so that's what we did. We added the pounds up, we added the pounds up, we added the pounds up, and then we added the pence up. We added the pence up to give us £11.97. Okay, let's try adding more larger amounts of money. So working on larger amounts of money. What are we working on? We're working on larger amounts of money. So if we've got £12.99, if we've got £12.99 and we're adding £25.73, £25.73, how do we do this? Well, another way of doing this is just by simply going 9 add 3 is 9 add 1 is 10, add 2 more is 12. So 9 add 1 is 10, add 2 more is 12. Okay, so we've put the 10 here. Okay, so we've put the 10 here. Now I'm using a different method, the written method here. 9 add 1 is 10, 9 add 1 is 10, add 7 more is 17. Notice how I didn't add 9 add 7, I added 9 add 1. Again, my number bonds of 10 are coming in, they're kicking in, and they're helping me work this sum out. 9 and 1 is 10, add 7 is 70. Now, we've got 5 add 2, we've got 5 add 2, we've got 5 add 2, which is 7. We've got 2 add 1, which is 3. 2 add 1, which is 3. 2 add 1, which is 3. So we've got 9 add 3, which is 12. 9 add 1, which is 10, and 7 more is 17. Oh, guess what? It's good job I'm checking, because what did I do wrong? Well, what I did wrong is I forgot to carry 1 forward. So this number is 1 less than what it should have been. 5 add 2 is 7, add 1 more is 8. Do you see the importance of checking in maths? Even a maths expert can make a little error as well. So it's really important to check your answers, and that's great that I did check my answer there. Okay, so if you got £47.80, you got £47.80, and you have £8.88. Okay, what do we do here? Well, if we've got £47.80 and £8.80, what do we do? Well, we add 0, add 8, which is 8, and then we double 8, which is 16. Okay, and then 7 add 1 is 8, 7 add 1 is 8, double 8 is 16, carry the 1 forward, okay, and then we do 4 add 1, which is 5. So what did we do? We add 8 add 0, which is 8, double 8, which is 16, carry the 1 forward. I did 7 add 1, which is 8, and double 8 is 16. So do you see how, again, my doubling knowledge is helping me? And then 4 add 1, which is 5. So we're adding money up in these questions. We've got £47.80, and we've added £8.88. So let's review some of the work we've been doing. What we've been doing today is we were adding, doubling 60 at 60, which was 6 at 6 is 12, and add a 0. So that's what we did. Then what we did was we added 230 at 230, 23 at 23, which is 46, to give it, and add a 0 to give us 460. So we did 6 at 6, which is 12, and we added a 0 because this was 60 at 60. Here we did 200, we added 230 at 230, and an easy way to do it is if you've got 23 at 23, which is 46, we add a 0. We add a 0. Okay, now if we've got, let's move on to next type of questions we were doing. The next type of questions we were doing were if we had 82 add 33, what we can do is we can do 80 add 2 and 30 and 3. Can you see? If you've got 8 add 3, which is 12, and add a 0, 2 add 3, which is 5, 125. So what we did is we partitioned 80 and 30, 80 and 30, 80 and 30, and then we wrote 2 and 3 on a separate line. So this was line 1 and this was line 2. So what we did first, step 1 was to partition, and step 2 is just to do the total sum. 120 add 5 is 125. So what else? What else have we been doing today? Well, what we've been working on is we've also been working on writing the total of each set of numbers. We've been writing the total of a set of numbers where we've got more than 2 numbers, maybe 3 numbers, maybe 4 numbers. So if we've got these numbers, what would we do here? Well, what we recognized was it's always easier to work with number bonds. So if we've got, I would start with the biggest number. I could still start with the biggest number, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 20 and 30, 6 and 4, because I know that's going to give me a nice round 10. 20 at 10, which is 30, 20 at 10, which is 30, and 6 at 4, which is 34. So we've dealt with this, we've dealt with this. Now, what do we do next? So step one was to add the number bonds of 10. Number bonds of 10. Then if you've got 32, add 6, we just do 36. Okay, what do we do here now? Step 3 is, that was step 2, and step 3 is 34 add 36. Well, 30 add 30, 30 add 30, 30 add 30 is 60, and 6 add 4, which is 10, that gives us 70. So the answer of all these numbers is 70. What we did was we had number bonds of 10. We added the okay, I'm going to do this again. Okay, I'm going to do this sum again. 6 add 32, add 16, add 24. So we're adding all these numbers up. What's the answer? Well, if we add 30 and 10 up, that's 40. And then if we do 6 add 2, that gives us, so if we do 30 add 20, that's 50. And if we do 2 add, okay, I'm going to start this again. I think there's a lot of noise in the background now. There isn't, so it kind of feels a bit awkward. So I'm going to start this again. We were adding 6, add 32, add 16, add 24. Okay, when we add these numbers up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two numbers up first. 20 add 30, add 6 add 4 is 40. 32 add 6 is 38. 40, 50, 60, 70, 78. Okay, so what we've done here is we've added 20 add 30, add 6 add 4, which is 40. Then we've added 32 add 6, which gives us 38. 40 add 30 is 70, add 8 is 78. So the answer is 78. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another sum, which is 37 add 9, add 11, add 22. What do we do here? Well, we know these two numbers will give us 20. We also know that 37 add 22 will give us 30, 40, 50, 57, add 2 is 59. So we've got the sum there. So what have we done here? We've added 11 plus 9 to give us 20. And then we've added 37 plus 22 to give us 30, 40, 57, 58, 59. Okay, what do we do now? Now we've got 59, we've got 59, and we've got 20. Where did I get the 20 from? It was from 11 add 9. Where did I get the 20 from? It was from 11 add 9. So 59 add 20 is 69, 79. So I'm going to repeat that again. What we did was we added the 11 add 9, which is 20. And then I added the 37 add 22, which is 59. 20 add 59 gives us 79. Okay. Now, I'm going to do this. Then what we did was we added these type of numbers up. And what we did was we doubled 5 to 10, and one more is 11. 2 add 1 is 3. 9 add 1 is 10. Add 4 is 14. And 3 add 1, which is 4. So what we're doing here is we're doing 6 add 5. Or double 5 is 10. Add 1 more is 11. 2 add 1 is 3. 9 add 1 is 10. 9 add 1 is 10. 4 more is 14. Carry the 1. 3 add 1 is 4. So that's how we do these type of numbers. Now, then we moved on to a different type of challenge, and we dealt with money, and we were adding numbers up like these. And these numbers can simply be added up by just going 0 add 3, which is 3, double 6, which is 12. So double 6, which is 12. So double 6, which is 12. Double 7 add 3, 7 add 3. Remember, what I do is I break these up into 3 add 2. 7 add 3, which is 10, add 2 more is 50, 12. Add 1 is 13. When 2 add 1, which is 3, add 1 more is 4, 43 pounds 23 pence. So what we've done is we did 0 add 3, which is 3, 6 add 6, which is 12, carry the 1 forward. Then what we did was we went 7 add 5, which is 7, 8, 9, 10, add 2 is 12, and add the 1 that we brought from here. And then we did 2, we added 2 add 1, which is 3, and don't forget to add the 1 which came from here, which is 4. 43 pounds 23. So that's what we've been working on. We've been doing a range of addition sums, and that's what we've been doing. We're coming to the end of the show, and next time, this was the first time we did these type of work. I hope one day we can go digital, and I can have a digital board, and I can illustrate it using different colors, because I know that if I was to use different colors here, I wouldn't have been able to, it wouldn't have appeared on the screen really well. So I was under some constraints. Hopefully I'm going to look into digital boards, and digital boards will allow you to see online, and I'll be able to use different colors, and it'll appear much, much clearer. But I think, given that the first time we did this, it worked out pretty well, and I hope you can benefit from this. Do text me on 0795 1918 152. You've been on the Improved Tuition. You've been on the Improved Tuition show, and I've come to the end of my show. And please do have a look. Leave me your comments. You can leave me your comments on 0795 1918 152. And I'd like to watch this, see how this came up, because it was different not having a student in front of me. So let's see. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's very useful. Do look at them, and do give me feedback on 0795 1918 152. You can call me on 01924 50 60 10. Thank you.
Done.